if I could say, what's the biggest tip I could give a homeowner renovating their home, especially if they're dealing anything with electrical, mechanical, plumbing, framing, structure, is you pulled that building permit. It's different between each municipality if they require a pre-construction meeting. Welcome back to another thrilling episode in our series, The House That Wisdom Built. I'm Vince, one of your hosts, and
I'm Nathan.
And we're here to take you, the listener, through the entire building cycle, whether you're renovating a home, building a home. And this is the fun part, right?
Yeah.
We just got done doing what I call the monotonous, long, drawn-out phase of planning, budgeting, getting those contracts figured out with your builder or contractor. And you've gone through all the hard part. You've done the heavy lifting. We're hoping that you've got at least 85% of the items that go in your home picked out up to now. That's always the goal before you physically start construction. But you know what today is?
Demo day.
Demo day. That's right.
Well, that's Chip's favorite day, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's Chip's favorite day. And whoever's getting their house built. Who's Chip?
Chip off of Fixer Upper.
Are they still around?
Yeah, they're still doing stuff.
Holy smokes. But I thought he retired.
Well, no.
Should. Anyway, so here we are at demo day. And that's really important if you're renovating a home, right?
Yep, that's right.
You know, it's not going to be so much. I think we'll just start today. We're talking about what that looks like in a renovation. What does demo day? And, you know, it's not just about bringing a sledgehammer in day one, right? There's some things you got to do day one. And I want to bring the homeowners up to speed on that before you start putting a sledgehammer through the wall. Kind of like if you're demoing a house, you know, like an infill.
Yep.
You know, most cities, Oklahoma City where you are, or here in Atlanta where I am, you know, if you're buying a house in the city limits, you're probably going to be tearing it down.
Yeah, that's right.
So what does that look like? You know, I want to explain to the listener, reno, new tear down. And then, you know, there's a little bit, and I'll let you, because you're really good with this, talk about what do you do. There's not really a demo day on new construction or site work, but that's a whole nother thing. But maybe in lieu of that, what are the few things you should be thinking about, i.e., what demo day looks like? Maybe it's site preparation or something like that.
Yeah. How about I'm gonna let you, because as the audience knows here, I don't do as much renovation as you do. You do much more renovation and flips than we do. We've done a few in the past, but I'm gonna let you kind of actually lead us through what you're looking for on either demo day or site teardown day. Is it permitting? What is it that you guys are having to do to then get ready for construction starting?
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because, you know, like we talked about a little bit before, what does that look like? Well, here's what it looks like, right? First, it's really, in my opinion, and, you know, doing this for over 35 years in business, 25, it's emotional, man.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think it is, but people that have lived in their house, you know, if you're the listener and you're going to do a massive renovation in your house, it's one thing if you're doing, I'm going to fix up this bathroom or paint these rooms. But if you're really transforming the space, it does get emotional. And so I always say, hey, take a minute, get pictures in the space, do whatever it is that gets you emotionally, mentally geared up for what's coming, because it's a storm coming, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so ultimately what I say is, okay, demo day, emotional. 2 is site preparation. We always think, hey, take out the sledgehammer, right? And early on in planning, we're budgeting. Like we talked a lot about budgeting, even for the unknowns, you know, things that we talked about, floor covering and things like that. Well, on your demo day, the first thing you need to do is start protecting all of those surfaces that are not going to get demolished, right? And what does that mean? Okay, it means sealing off areas, whether you're doing the zip system, you know, to seal areas off, whether you're doing floor covering. You know, we'll start, and I think it's a great practice, is we start with a ram board, or even better, because ram board is really thick. You can get it at your big box stores. It's a little bit more abrasive on the backside. So sometimes what we'll do is we'll start with the brown builder's paper. Don't use the red rosin paper like they used to use under hardwood floors, because it has a bit of an oil to it. So we'll use a builder's paper. It tears easy, but it's a good base coat. We put that down, then we ram board over it. right? For that surface protection that helps with spills, things like that. Because dirty little secret, what's going to happen? People are going to spill stuff. Even though you say no drinks without a cap on it, they're going to be drinking something and accidentally step back and kick it over.
That's right.
And so you want that moisture protection. And then what we like to do is we get a masonite board. It's about 1/8 inch. You can get it again at the big box stores or your suppliers. And it comes in sheets 4x8, and you can get them a little bit bigger now. But that hardboard, they also call it, we'll lay out and tape down in high traffic areas. People coming in and out on top of the ram board. So we'll go that step further. Is this a little overkill? Yeah, it is, until you got to fix them.
So you're ripping out wood for that you can't match.
That's right. Exactly. And so we'll recommend doing that. But you're going to spend, at least $600 or $700 on that stuff.
Oh yeah. Easy.
But so we'll typically take that in a demo. We'll take that whole first day, and it is literally just site prep. Then the fun starts. But what I always say before that, you've got to make sure you've got, we talked about pulling a building permit. I'm surely you've submitted a draw to the builder or the contractor to make sure that they're ready to go. Those things are in place. Did you ask the questions? Did the subcontractors get their permits in place?
That's right.
And then one big thing that I'd be remiss that a lot of homeowners miss, and this is incredibly important, because if I could say what's the biggest tip I could give a homeowner renovating their home, especially if they're dealing anything with electrical, mechanical, plumbing, framing, structure, is you pulled that building permit. It's different between each municipality if they require a pre-construction meeting.
Really?
Yeah.
The city?
At the city level, even for a renovation. So they say before you start, they want to come out and tour the project with you to see if there's anything that could cause concern, code issues, or anything else. Because you could get into a situation really fast where you start demo or you start construction thinking you don't have to talk to the city until you call in that first inspection. And then what happens is you get pinched. They shut you down. You didn't do the proper procedure, and you start off on the wrong foot with the city or county you're in. So you've got to do your due diligence as to the process, the inspections. And that's huge when you get started. I'm not saying it's happened to us in the past, but yeah, you get anxious, right?
Yeah.
And it's important to have those meetings with the city. And, did you get all your asbestos and mold testing?
Yeah.
Did someone come out? Because sometimes permitting, a city doesn't catch that.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you open a wall and there's an asbestos, the old flues from the old furnaces were all asbestos. And now all of a sudden you've exposed an asbestos pipe.
Yeah. To the whole project.
So, do you as a homeowner know how to identify what is asbestos, what different products in the home are asbestos? You've got piping, you've got the old flooring back in the 60s, 70s had the tile floor had asbestos in it. So that's big. What happens if you uncover something and you see mold?
Yeah.
How do you identify mold? So asbestos, mold, things that you want to learn and just know, Home Depot and the big box stores have mold tests that you can check things with. Doing those things so you're not stirring up those areas,
right? And
that's all getting in to the
rest of
the house, and you're breathing that in. The other big thing is before you start demoing into a wall, there might be electrical lines in that wall. Are those breakers turned off?
Yep.
Right? Is water shut off? Where are those things? So when you do accidentally throw your sledgehammer through the wall to have fun with everybody, you hit a plumbing pipe.
Yeah, and the water's not off.
Understanding ahead of time, how do we turn that water off and where? So these on a reno, these are the big things. But other than that, is your dumpster there? Are they putting the dumpster on the driveway? If so, do you have something under it to protect it? Because dumpster companies will ruin a driveway, lickety split, rolling out those metal wheels across.
Yeah, rolling it across, and then what you're throwing in, it's leaking out the bottom of it or whatever. Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a good point. So that's some of the biggest things on demo day on a renovation. Now, what's the fun part? Hey, the fun part is taking a hammer to the wall.
Yeah, getting it all out of there.
Yeah, but make sure you pre-mark the walls, because I've seen it. I've come into a house, dude. I've come into a house and we didn't mark it, and we told the homeowner, have a whack at it. They were going after the wrong wall.
The wrong wall, wrong bathroom, wrong wall.
Not the wrong bathroom, but the wrong wall. We had to fix it. Well, thank God it was just sheetrock. But
Man, we had a kid. I know this is off subject a little bit, but something like that happens in any profession. We had a kid back when we played basketball, had to go in for ankle surgery. They performed surgery on the wrong ankle.
you're kidding.
Yeah, same thing. Didn't mark it and had it marked and didn't put wrong one, just put an X. They thought X was where they were supposed to have the surgery. Actually, X marks the spot, but it wasn't. X was for don't do that here.
Holy smokes!
Yeah,
I thought that was a wives' tale.
No. Happened in back in the olden days, if
Man,
you will.
that's wild.
I got something for you to backtrack a little bit because as this audience knows, how we met was being in a Builder 20 group. Tell us about what you maybe have added with neighbors that we picked up from one of our builders out in Arizona that we saw him do, something that you're doing on renos. I've never done it on new construction, but it has me thinking, man, if we're kind of in between some people, this is maybe something that we should do, but kind of run us through that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And and that's a great transition. You're a real pro at this.
Yeah, I've had practice.
You slept at a Holiday Inn last
That's
night.
right.
Sorry about that. I wasn't ready for you. No, it's funny when Nathan comes to town. A little sidebar. We're great friends, and so he stays at my house. In fact, he just told us the other day he wasn't going to stay anymore. Well, last year, unless we outfitted a room to your liking.
That's right.
So we actually physically had to build out a room
Yep.
in the basement of the house to his liking because you like that it's cool down there.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's Atlanta, gets
Yep.
hot.
Uh-huh.
And how did we do on that room design?
Well, let's give even more of a backstory on this. Dirty little secret, as Vince would say. Vince and his wife want the house to be a cool 80 degrees at all times, it feels like. I remember the first time staying at his house, sleeping in the room thinking, man, it's hot. So hot. So they have a basement that they had a spare room in, and their basement is always super cool. And I started busting on them saying, hey, Hotel de Longo needs this room to be finished for me. And sure enough, they did, and they did a phenomenal job. It's moody, it's dark, it's cold, and I went down there and slept like a baby last night. That's why I'm so good at the transitions.
Exactly that way. Listen, and little did you know, I was prepping you to have a good night's sleep so we could crush.
So we could crush the podcast? Yeah, that's good. I appreciate that.
So,
but tell me about that though, because I think that's a great idea, even for me to implement. It's just being thoughtful, and I know it makes way more sense if you're demoing, definitely in tight quarters. I usually build on bigger lots, so it's never been a thought, but it's still something that's smart to do.
That's right. And you're exactly right. And I honestly think that if you're doing, to put a cap on the renovation demo, if you're doing a major reno where you're adding an addition, popping the top, which means building a second story, you're doing something that's really affecting the outside, your neighbors are going to be affected.
That's right.
The bigger the reno, the more vehicles are going to be there, the more intrusion into your neighbors. You build a lot in brand new neighborhoods where you might have 3 or 4 in a row going or whatnot. Mm-hmm. You're going into an existing neighborhood where people are used to living every day and used to what do they call that? A regimen, or they do something every day.
Yeah, they have
and
a
all the same routine.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, and it was the R's.
A regimen for sure.
Special. I did not stay at a Holiday Inn last night.
No, he was in an 80-degree room, so he's not
right.
okay.
And so you're messing with the neighbor's routine.
Yep.
In a big reno. It's the same thing if you're doing a tear down infill house, or if you're building on a vacant lot in a neighborhood that's already established, right? And so in Atlanta, we do a lot of infill tear downs, which they're tight lots, and we're regentrifying the neighborhood and rebuilding. So we got this idea, and you heard this idea in the past, but we got this idea from Nathan Anderson. He's a builder in our Builder 20 group, spectacular builder in Scottsdale. And so I've kind of stole that idea, or just borrowed it.
Yeah.
He said, okay. But it's demo and donuts.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they call it. You can do demo and donuts, invite all the neighbors over to watch it come down. You have stuff for the kids in the neighborhood, maybe coloring books and crayons that they can take home with them, juice boxes and stuff like that. You have coffee and donuts for the, if it's in the afternoon, you can have a nice beverage. Like, we're drinking coffee here, but you could have some wine and beer.
Have some Miller Lights.
That's right. Miller Lights.
Yeah.
Your favorite.
The only thing.
That's right. And so it was a spectacular idea. Now, why do you do that? Right? Because you're like, whoa, why would I want? Well, here's the thing. You get the neighbors involved. They get to know you. You have a set of plans there. You're open. You explain to them what you're doing, what you're building. They're going to want to meet you, the homeowner, our listener, because they're going to be either a new neighbor or they want to just be part of it. They want to be in the know. And what we found over the years, if you do that, you're building a rapport. So when something isn't quite right, there's something they don't like. Somebody is parked in front of their house. They feel like they got a flat tire because of a nail that was left in the street. They're going to call you instead of going right to the county or city. Because I don't know if you know, but nowadays, if you have a problem, your neighbor has a problem and they call the city comes out. The first thing they do is they shut you down. What do you there? They red flag you, right?
Yeah, red tags.
Red tags. Yep. They'll do a stop work order on us here. And it's you're guilty until you can prove yourself innocent.
Yep.
And that's how the cities work. It's horrible.
Yep.
And so you then can't get any work done. And so instead of doing, and also, by the way, it's easy for people to do that in the community because it's anonymous.
Yeah, that's right.
No one, they don't want retribution or anything like that. And so it's easy for people that don't even live in your neighborhood to call you out. So you've got to make it as good as possible for your neighbors, and they need to get to know you. And this donuts and demo goes a long way. I want to try this, and that's on a house that we might be demo to rebuild. You get a local association, like nonprofit, and you can do demo. Hey, $20 donation allows you 10 minutes to break stuff in the house.
That's pretty fun.
And then we'd match it or something like that. And so that's also another cool idea. So you can get really creative with the really messy part of this to make your neighbors happy, maybe help a local association, and just to have some fun with it. And you're building that rapport with your neighbors to make the process smooth. So that is
which is super important. It's super important because, it is interesting in any client or buyer or anybody who's going to listen to this has been on both sides. You've been the one building, and then you've been the one that is getting built next to. And man, once you move in, it's almost like we have some amnesia on what it was like building your house, right? And so it just is good to then bring that back to where everybody, hey, this is what we're doing. We're trying our best. We have the silt fence up. We have the gravel construction entrances. We have a porta potty. We have dumpsters. We're going to do our best. And, some days where the rapport matters the most, there are things that just doesn't matter. A couple Fridays ago in Oklahoma, we had 90-mile-an-hour winds. Even if your trash is in the dumpster, it's coming out of the dumpster, right? And it's blowing into someone's yard. Well, with no rapport, as the builder, you're just the big bad wolf, that's out there. And you're right. It's easy to call in anonymously. But if have built a rapport with breaking ground and doing some of these things, maybe they'll call us rather than calling the city and give us a chance to come out and get the trash gathered back up that blew out of the dumpster. It was amazing because it's funny. He was doing this because he was demoing a house in tight quarters. I had never contemplated doing this on new construction. And now it's something that it's like, yeah, when we have a dozer, our demo on new construction is bringing the dozer out on site, right? Hey, when we bring a dozer out on site, we know when that's coming. Let's have the neighbors that were around. Let's send out postcards to them and be like, meet us over here. We're going to show you what we're going to do. We're going to tell you how we're going to attempt to keep the site clean. Please call us if you have any frustrations, any of those things, just to help make everybody feel good around you. Because you're right. We're messing up their routine.
Yeah. Have you ever sent out a letter to all the neighbors, letting them know, hey, this is who you are. This is your contact info. This is where you're going to be building. If there's any issues, call.
No.
Do you think that would be a good idea?
Yeah.
Just kind of awareness to, hey, or do you think that this actually is in lieu of it, where you have a little event where you have again, coffee donuts, or hey, this is Building Brews and Barbecue. Maybe you make
Maybe
some
we make
sliders or
yeah.
something like that. Is that what you feel that would be in lieu of it?
Yeah, I think that would be better in lieu of it. Yeah, I mean, look, anything's better than nothing, right? So if you don't have time for that, at least in the postcard, no, it's never been a thought, right? It is construction has changed so much. It's why we're doing this podcast. I mean, as little as 10 years ago, it was construction. It's transactional. It's I give you money, you build me house, right? Like, and build a nice house. And it was that way for years. It's been that way forever. And you almost like blocked out the neighbors too. Hey, I'm on this lot. I'm doing this. Um, Everything's changed so much to where there's so much just feelings involved. And whether you agree, disagree, like that, don't like that, that's the way it is, you know? That's the way it is. So feelings of your customer are involved, feelings of the neighbors are now involved.
Yeah.
And we have to morph with that. And that's so thinking about this, it just makes me think, man, no, I've never thought of it. I not one time until we saw Nathan Anderson doing that. I was like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Like all you're doing is helping. Does it solve every issue? No, you still may have the crouchy neighbor, right? One of them just that may be the way they are.
And you treat them differently.
Yeah, they're not getting as many niceties.
Oh, really? I would have went the opposite. Where, I think we've had some problem neighbors in the past, and I've had my site super made it a point to bring over when he thought, uh-oh, this is going to be something that person's going to be pissed about.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone and tried to get in front of it and has like $25 gift cards to Starbucks and things like that in his truck. He'll run one over and say, hey, I'm so sorry. This is what's happened. We're in, here you go.
No, see, we did that for a long time, and maybe I'll get bit in the behind on doing this, but we really in the last year have put a focus on internally, and this may be sharing too much. Maybe my customers are going to find out. Maybe they need to hear it. Maybe they don't.
Hold on. In the count of 3, I'm going to count it down. Everybody in Oklahoma, stop listening for 15 seconds.
Yeah, give me 15 to 20 seconds.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
All right, stop listening. Okay. All right. So what we've been doing is usually what they talk about is the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So in custom building, if I have 10 projects going, it's usually the 80-20 rule. 80% of the customers are enjoying it, or they maybe not be enjoying it, but they're not real loud, right? Then you have your 20% that are the squeaky wheel that are getting all of your time, right? What we have noticed is we then end up giving 80% of our time to the 20% to attempt to keep them happy. Generally speaking, no matter how much we bend over, we can't ever get them happy. But what we're doing is we're dropping the ball on the people that if we gave them that time, not only would they be happy, we would even super exceed their expectations. We're now setting our baseline. Hey, even if someone's mean, even if they're rude, they're getting this standard. And that standard's above normal standard. They're going to get that standard. But if you are someone who is treating us well, is loving the process, is enjoying it, we're going to go above and beyond for you because you're the one that should be getting our time, right? Our extra time, rather than spending our extra time trying to grease a wheel that maybe can't be greased.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we're actually going the opposite way a little bit. And that's, we'll see how it works out. Maybe I get in trouble because we don't grease the wheel enough that we feel like the people that are having a great time, we want to make sure they even have more of a great time because that's something that'll follow them forever and they'll cherish it to where sometimes, when you're unhappy, maybe sometimes you're just unhappy. And I can't grease it enough. So we're a little bit the opposite. All right, Oklahoma people, you can start listening.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back, our listeners from Oklahoma. Well, yeah, and I think, one of the big things that we've done over the years, which, I've heard people say it's a no-no. If my insurance company's listening, now's the time to tune out. But what we'll do is if we're tearing a house down and the homeowner is there, our excavator will allow them, he'll get the backhoe, because that's what we use to tear down the house, a backhoe. He'll get that set up and let them sit in it and take the first whack through the roof. And who cares where they're going to mess up?
Yeah, that's right. It's going away.
Yeah. It's when they ask to do it once the house is framed up. It's a different problem. But in the excavator will help them, and man, they just brighten right up when you can smash your house with
Yeah.
a bulldozer or a backhoe. It's pretty
It's
fun.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, but we had one get carried away, so that's why, yeah, I was concerned about the insurance. It's like, no, that's shouldn't be doing that. It's your neighbor's car.
No, that's someone else's house.
But anyway, thanks for coming back, insurance companies. But so that's a fun thing too. If you can do that, I recommend any of our listeners to show up and say, "Hey, you mind if I do that?" Not sure if you want your neighbors to do that, but I guess what you could do if you're building a brand new house is, have you ever had your excavator on site and let the homeowner or someone that you really wanted to kind of go around in the excavator, the backhoe or the
No, we haven't had that, but I'm sure our guy would if any of the customers wanted to. I've never even thought about that. No, what we're doing on our site days, because being out in East Stedman primarily, there are so many trees. Usually our homeowners are on site and we're stringlining the build box basically, and then and then cutting in the driveway, and we're letting our homeowners kind of pick which trees they want us to try to avoid. Right, but we tell them, "Hey, inside this build box though, nothing we can do. Those trees have to go. But we can kind of move this build box around if we want to save this tree or save that tree." And so our homeowners are very involved in that, and we get it. Look, we live in East Stedman. We build in East Stedman because we love the hills and trees too. So most of the time when customers come to us, it's always enjoyable because they're like, "Now we like the trees." I'm like, "Of course, that's why you're here, right? You're here for that." And so we take a lot of time maneuvering around trees.
yeah, yeah. So, bringing this thing home, because
Yep.
I think we're at a good start. I'm going to ask you in a second, Nathan, what any final thoughts on that initial day to get started
Yep.
that I might have forgotten. But I would say, if there's in my opinion, okay, what's a great walk away pro tip for a homeowner? And I would say the biggest pro tip at this stage is get a GoPro or some other slow motion or time lapse camera and capture as much from the demo, but
Yeah.
all the way through, capture as much as you possibly can, because there is nothing cooler than being able to track the progress of your project, whether it's a new home, demo rebuild, or a renovation, from start to finish, and then be able to replay that at the end, and you see it all come together
Yeah.
in 30 seconds. And that becomes a really cool Instagram reel, or just something that you can share that your family will have forever. That's a start to finish. And I think for me, that's a huge pro tip.
Yeah. For me, going more on the new construction side, it's going to be just, thinking about how you want your house to sit on this lot, which direction you're wanting it to face, what angle you're wanting it to be, and thinking through the tree placement. The biggest pro tip is something we were actually talking about last night, is understanding how close a tree can actually be to the property, because we get so many customers that, for us, 30 foot is tall. A 30-foot tall tree in Oklahoma, because it's so windy, is really tall. And the amount of our customers, which I get, 30-foot tall oak tree, 7 foot from the house. Hey, we want to save it. And we're constantly having to educate, hey, it's going to die, because we're under the tree canopy. And when we dig your footing, it's not going to die today. It's not going to die tomorrow, but you're going to live in your house for about 6 months, and that tree's never coming back. And now it's 7 feet from your house. And so that'd be my pro tip, knowing, hey, they can't be that close when they're that big.
Yeah.
And because it's not a battle, but it's a constant teaching moment for us of like, look, when you're under the canopy, you're in the root system.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful.
Does Oklahoma and those municipalities allow you to get that close to a tree? Like in Atlanta, you better be out of that critical root zone or you'll get shut down, because trees are more important than people in Atlanta.
So as builders, no. As builders, we're very, we can basically do what we need to do with trees. Where our local municipality in Edmond has got them with trees is on the developer side. So they basically took away clear cutting developments. It's gone. We have a tree canopy that we have to actually go out, hire someone that does all of our tree canopy, and put it on the plat, and then we have to keep 20% of it. So we have to find a way to keep 20% of the tree canopy. And so they don't let us clear cut. So we're way more, trees are extremely important in East Edmond, but they put that onus back on the developer, not the builder. Once we develop it, then the builder can take what he needs to take.
Oh, wow. See, in Atlanta, it's all on the builder.
Yeah.
On that particular lot, you've got to save all the trees in the side setbacks. Not only that, it was used to be able to put just orange tree fence, plastic tree fence out, save, and just to say, hey, don't go past this area. Somebody's in this area. You're going to get citation and shut down, and the builder might have to pay for that tree. But not only that, now they make you put in chain link fence
to block people.
It's like, really, do people do that much damage? No, it's a bulldozer that you're trying to stop from getting in that area. And last I checked, I don't care if you got a plastic fence or a chain link fence, that bulldozer doesn't feel it.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's the dumbest thing. I'm convinced that the municipalities just continue to make you spend more and more money, so it gets harder and harder to build. And that's why I said before, to these municipalities, trees are more important than people, just because they've lost their mind. And on that, I think we can end this.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. I love you, Edmund.
But yeah. I love you, Atlanta municipality. Please grant us our permit. But it's just something that we battle constantly. And our homeowners and listeners need to know what they can do in Oklahoma what they can do within Atlanta, which is not much. And it's getting worse day by day. So let's end this on an upbeat note. Should we do a dance or have a sandwich or something?
Yeah, or a beer.
Miller
Lite.
It is only 10 o'clock here, but that's time, right?
It's time. It's time for me.
The next episodes will be a lot of fun.
That's right.
Well, listen, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, please like, and if you're not subscribed to us, please subscribe. We're going to be continuing on with this series called The House That Wisdom Built. We hope you'll follow along with us. And if you have any questions, please DM us. We'd love to answer them, and we'd love to get you engaged. Here's what I say. Let's give them a little challenge.
What's that going to be?
All right. Send us your coolest demo video or clip. Send us your coolest demo clip, and me and you are going to pick a window. A window?
A window?
Winder.
What's a window?
What is a
exactly?
winder?
What are we going to do? What's a window?
We look out the window.
Like a windmill?
I'm going to stare out the window all day. No, we're going to pick a winner, and with that winner, we're going to send you something. And
I also,
like it.
in the comments, I want to know if a homeowner also thinks the dozer and donuts is a good idea too, of bringing the neighbors in, because on the builder side, I think that that's such a fabulous idea. I want to know if that's something that you feel as a neighbor is, hey, too much. If you would like it, don't like it, kind of just let us know what you think about that.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. We'll see you on the next episode.